what's your expectations? Do you see new incomers coming to the retail market in Dubai, new mall developers, or would you say that the situation will stand still? Because obviously for us as distributors and suppliers, new stores openings are room for further growth. So how do you see the next 2 to 3 years in terms of store openings or mall development?
Well, I can start by saying that if in any business, but particularly in retail, as soon as you stand still, you're dead, you're finished. You're going to be taken over by your competitors and you're going to be left behind. In terms of mall developers and new opportunities in the Dubai market, I think that they're quite limited to find successful locations, except for service convenience style malls. So they would have a small grocery store anchor with some service like dental clinics and medical clinics. That's the expansion that I see in the Dubai market now. Abu Dhabi market's a little different because I think there's room for more retail there and maybe a little bit grander scale. In terms of new retailers, Jones Lang have done a tremendous amount of work with Abercrombie & Fitch. And we've done 14 deals with them throughout Western Europe. And last week, I and Jones Lang Lasalle had been asked to do a study for Abercrombie for their entry into the regional, into the Middle East region. So they wanted a third-party independent study done by Jones Lang to indicate how best they could enter this market. So are new retailers coming into the market? Absolutely, they're coming into the market. Do they see this as a valuable market? They really do. The reason they do is because it's not too big. And it's, the market is important here because there's a high spend power. There are great malls that are in operation. They know that they don't go street front. For example, Abercrombie are not going to go street front. They want to be in a mall, in a prime location. And they can almost estimate to the nearest dollar where they're going to be at in their overall gross sales in their first year. Very difficult in many markets around the world to be able to establish that kind of trading pattern. But it's here, and it's important. And I think that more and more retailers are coming to this region, like Abercrombie & Fitch, because of those things that I've just mentioned. Anything else? No? Yes?
If I may just exercise my
please,
limited discretionary influence to ask you a question.
Go ahead,
you've hinted at the important role of tourism and tourists visiting Dubai in perhaps sustaining the retail sector. This is actually not a trivial issue. There are a lot of questions being asked about what needs to be done to further this. Whose role is it really to bring more traffic from the airports? After all, we have one new terminal and another terminal being built up and more passenger traffic. And yet people are struggling with identifying 2 to 3 areas where the government perhaps can help in facilitating this. What would be 2 to 3 policy suggestions that would further allow for visits by tourists, stopovers, especially those who have the spending power to come in and sustain, support the retail industry?
Sure. Well, that's not a simple answer. I could say, first of all, that as I mentioned earlier, I travel the region extensively every month. And in terms of infrastructure, Dubai is clearly world-class. So this region in particular, which has a very high spend power, the GCC, are more than happy to come to Dubai because the hotels are in place, the air hub is in place, the power grids are in place, there's a safe climate here, and that's in place. There are so many things that are in favor of Dubai already that are working well for it, that I could say that when you compare it anywhere else in the GCC, it's heads and shoulders and leap years ahead of the other competitors. What could be done better is your question. And doing everything over and over and over again until you become absolutely so good at it is probably the only way. And I think that Dubai is probably in its infancy in terms of the deliverable. It's great now, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the smooth delivery of all of the different elements that come with retail, for instance, takes time. let me explain that to you by giving you an analogy of Abercrombie. Their concern coming into this region is the fact that a lot of their staff are going to be people who don't live, breathe, and live with the whole Abercrombie and Fitch social, cultural thing. And their concern is, how do we maximize the opportunity in Dubai by bringing in staff from wherever they're going to come from that are going to have this Abercrombie heart. And if you look at some of the retailers now in Dubai, you'll see that the retail sales force are there as a job. It's not a passion, it's a job. And there are some things to do with Dubai that have to, through retailers like Abercrombie, perhaps, or other retailers, they'll have to come into the region and have their own little take on things to make it more of a full experience for the Abercrombie vision. Those are the things that are going to take the time. The infrastructure and the hotels and the power, the roads, all of that's here. It's just now to smooth out the delivery by, in this case, the retailers.